Yes, he gets attached, but not when you give him everything, but when you awaken something in him that no other woman knows how to awaken. Today, you're going to discover what that is, why it captivates him, and how to become the woman who, without chasing him, effortlessly marks his soul. I'm going to reveal the 5 triggers that ignite a genuine emotional attachment. Not his words, but his unconscious reaction when he feels that losing you means losing something he can't replicate with anyone else. So, hit that like button right now and subscribe. It's completely free for you, and it supports me tremendously. Also, share this video with someone you know needs it. Alright, let's dive in. First trigger. He doesn't get attached because of what you give him, but because of how he feels about himself when he's with you. This might hurt, but it's the truth. A man doesn't stay because of everything you do for him. He stays because of how he feels about himself when he's near you. No matter how much you love him, how much you care for him, how much you wait for him, if he feels confused, empty, frustrated, or even inferior when he's with you, he won't get attached. He might desire you. He might enjoy moments with you. He might even need you in his low moments. But he won't form an emotional attachment because true attachment doesn't come from the body. It comes from the reflection you give him, from the self he starts to experience when you're around. And if that self feels seen, admired, elevated, if his ego feels nourished without being threatened, if his shadow doesn't activate as a defense mechanism, then a connection is created that his mind cannot break. Whether he consciously recognizes it or not, his instincts feel it, his emotional system registers it, and his soul begins to return without him knowing why. Carl Jung said that we don't love people. We love the sensations we awaken through them. And this is brutally true when it comes to male emotional attachment. This is what Paula experienced, without anyone explaining it to her. She, 36 years old, summed it up like this. I was with a man who wasn't perfect, and I wasn't trying to make him perfect. But when he was with me, he laughed more. He talked about his childhood without pain. He dreamed of things he didn't dare to dream before. And one day he told me, with you, I feel like the best man I can be. And that scares me, because I've never felt that with anyone else. That was the moment he started to get attached. Not because she was accommodating, not because she pampered or chased him, but because she became the space where he felt emotional freedom without judgment. And that, Gabriel, isn't something you find just anywhere. It's what his mind records, what his body seeks, what his soul begins to crave, even if he doesn't understand it. And here's the revelation almost no one tells you. A man can be intimate with many women, but he only gets attached to the one who makes him feel like a better man. Not stronger, not more admired, but better, more at peace, more authentic, more himself. And that sensation isn't created through sacrifice. It's created from your core. When you're not trying to please him, not trying to prove you're the best option, not trying to control whether he chooses you, you start emitting an emotional frequency that tells him, here, you can breathe. Here, you're not being tested. And that's what makes him stay. Not your beauty, not your devotion, not your proofs of love, but the emotional reflection you give him that he can't find with anyone else. So if you're wondering why he didn't get attached to you, why he didn't value everything you gave, it's time to ask a more powerful question. How did he feel about himself when he was with me? Did he feel challenged, judged, analyzed? Or did he feel free, calm, seen? Not based on your intentions, but on what his ego and emotions received. Because sometimes you think you're making him feel loved, but he feels evaluated. You think you're showing your worth, but he feels pressured. And that doesn't create attachment, it creates flight. And how do you change that? Not by pretending to be cold, not by playing hard to get, not by using techniques, but by connecting with yourself in a way that you don't need him to validate you or to feel like you're doing things right. When he senses that you're at peace with yourself, that you're not trying to fix or save him, that you see him as he is without dissolving yourself to be with him, it calms him, disarms him, attaches him. Because an emotionally immature man gets attached to chaos, but a man who's starting to awaken gets attached to the peace you emit from your core. And when he experiences that, it marks him. There are many beautiful, intelligent, incredible women, but the woman who makes him feel like a better man without manipulating him stays with him. She becomes his emotional root. She starts to occupy a space in his soul, and even if he denies it, even if he pulls away, even if he resists, he knows. His body remembers, his shadow seeks it, and his mind relives it. Because a woman who connected him to his best inner version isn't forgotten. She's missed in silence, desired without him knowing why, and often lost because he didn't understand it in time. And what happens when a woman doesn't need to please him, but he still chooses her? We'll explore that now, because that's where the second trigger that emotionally attaches him, without him being able to avoid it, is born. Second trigger. When you don't need to please him, but he chooses you anyway. The "I'm the lucky one" effect. Before we continue, if this message is already stirring something in you, subscribe now and hit like. This lets YouTube know the content is valuable and helps it get recommended. Thank you so much. There's a sensation that completely disarms the male ego. It's not when you tell him you love him, not when you try to please him, not even when you do everything perfectly. It's when he, looking at you from his world, feels he has no power over you, yet he still wants to stay. Not because you're trying, but because you don't need him. And that quiet but firm confidence in you makes him feel that if he doesn't choose you, he's losing something he won't find anywhere else. This is one of the most subtle and powerful moments when a man starts to attach emotionally. When you're not begging for his attention, yet he feels lucky to have it. This is what Natalia, 38, experienced and wrote to me about. With him, I felt good, but I didn't feel empty without him. I didn't text him every day. I didn't ask if he missed me. I didn't seek reassurance, and yet he always came back. One day, he told me, "I don't understand why you mean so much to me. I feel like if I lose you, I'm losing something I won't know how to replace." And she hadn't done it strategically. She was simply so full of herself that she didn't project neediness. She didn't chase him, didn't challenge him to get his attention. She just was. And that simple act of being was her greatest power. Because male attachment isn't activated by rewards. It's activated by contrast. When he realizes that with you, nothing is guaranteed. But what he receives makes him feel valued, seen, and free at the same time. It changes everything. And here's one of the strongest truths no one tells you. A man doesn't get attached when he feels you're trying to please him. He gets attached when he feels lucky to please you. Because in that moment, you're no longer the woman waiting to be chosen. You've become the woman who chooses from a place of calm, dignity, and an energy that neither begs nor demands. And that energy marks him emotionally, reminding him of something he wasn't taught to handle. Being drawn to a woman who doesn't crave his validation. And do you know what's the most powerful part of this? When you're not competing, not proving your worth, not emitting hidden anxiety, he lowers his guard and starts being himself, without defenses, without games, without masks. And that space of authenticity is where true attachment happens, not because of what you do, but because of what he feels when he's with you. Because a woman who doesn't strive to be approved becomes the place where he feels chosen for his truth, not his performance. And that makes him come back, not out of need, but out of true emotional attraction. And how do you activate this in yourself? I'll make it clear with 3 signals that emit this magnetic frequency. The 3 signals of a woman who doesn't need to please him, yet he chooses her. She's comfortable with his silence. She doesn't try to fill the voids. She doesn't panic if he doesn't talk. She doesn't rush to interpret because her world doesn't revolve around his response. She doesn't give her time easily. She's not always available. She doesn't reply quickly, doesn't rearrange her day for a vague promise, and that, far from pushing him away, intrigues him. She doesn't try to control the connection. She doesn't ask, "What are we?" She doesn't demand labels. She observes, and if something doesn't resonate, she doesn't force it. And that freedom she emits is what makes him stay, not to control her, but because he wants to keep feeling that with her. A man is attracted to many women, but he deeply attaches to the one who doesn't need him, yet chooses him, who doesn't chase him, but honors him with her presence when he's near. Because in his mind, one idea takes root. I don't know how you do it, but you make me feel like having you is a privilege. And that's the start of all true emotional attachment. In the next point, we'll unveil the 3rd trigger that attaches him without him understanding why. The unique emotional experience he has with you that no one else can replicate, because his body remembers it, his soul seeks it, and his ego can't replace it. 3rd trigger. The unique emotional experience, what he doesn't find in others, and his mind starts searching for you. There are women a man remembers with fondness, others with desire, some with guilt, but there's one, only one, that his mind can't let go of. And it's not the one who gave him everything, nor the one who was perfect, nor the one who begged him to stay. It's the one who made him feel an emotional experience he can't replicate with anyone else, a sensation that touched him so deeply, so inexplicably, that his ego doesn't know how to process it, but his body memorizes it, and his soul keeps it. This woman wasn't the most available, the most devoted, or the one who always said yes. She was the one who gently confronted him with parts of himself he'd never seen. The one who supported him without carrying him, who listened without correcting, who didn't try to change him but unintentionally shifted his vibration. And that experience isn't forgotten. There are moments that seem simple but leave a mark. A conversation, a shared laugh, a comfortable silence, a look that didn't aim to seduce but to see him. And that's what he doesn't easily find in others. He can search for it, fake it, project it. But when he's lived it with you, no one else does it the same. And when he tries, that's when he starts comparing you without meaning to. Not with the body, not with messages, but with the sensation, with the emotional peace you made him feel, even if he didn't know how to name it. A man told me honestly, "I was with several women after her, attractive, intense, intelligent women, but I always felt something was missing. It wasn't that they did anything wrong. It was that with her, I felt everything was right. Even in silence, even if she said nothing, it was a peace I couldn't find anywhere else." That's what marks him. That's what attaches him. That's what makes him come back years later just to see how you're doing. Because he doesn't miss you as a person. He misses what he felt about himself when he was with you. And that he experienced in an emotional moment his ego can't recreate with another. And the most brutal part is that you can't fake it. You can't provoke it as a technique. You can't copy it from a video. Because the experience he has with you doesn't come from what you do. It comes from who you are when you're connected to your truth. You're not acting, not trying to be special, not competing. You're present, without fear, without anxiety, without masks. And that presence, so rare today, so precious, is what his emotional field recognizes as unique, as irreplaceable. Because in that moment, he feels free but held, accepted but not overprotected, seen but not analyzed. And for a man who lives on the defensive, used to being pushed, questioned, or ignored, it's pure emotional medicine. And like all true medicine, when he loses it, his system notices and starts searching for it, feeling something's missing, not understanding why everything else feels the same, except you. And how do you activate this unique emotional experience? Not with strategies, but with authenticity, with inner alignment, with a peace that isn't bought. It's cultivated. Here are the 3 most important keys to create this experience in a man, not for him, but from you. Your energy asks nothing of him. You're not waiting for him to choose you. You're not trying to control the connection. You're enjoying, feeling, flowing. And that removes the pressure for him to perform emotionally. When a man doesn't feel examined, he starts to relax. And that's where attachment begins. You make space for him without erasing yourself. He feels he can be himself, but you don't disappear. You don't revolve around his emotions, don't get lost in what he wants. You're a serene mirror, not an emotional abyss. And that makes him stay because he feels free but not alone. You don't try to impress him, but you impact him anyway. You're not aiming to be the perfect woman. You don't tailor your words. You don't agree with him to please him. You're simply you, with presence, strength, unfeigned softness, and non-aggressive boundaries. And that's magnetic to him because his soul feels supported, and his ego doesn't feel threatened. And that's what marks him, not what you gave, not what you did, but what he felt, what he only experienced with you. And when he tries to replicate it with someone else, when he thinks he can build the same thing with another, when he tells himself, it was just chemistry, a part of his body says, no, it wasn't just that. It was her. It was what she awakened in me. And that's what makes a man deeply attached, not because of what you gave, but because of what you made him feel about himself, on a level he didn't even know was possible. Now, pay close attention. You're about to discover how to seal this, because there's something more powerful than what he feels with you. How you project it without saying a word. The nonverbal language that captivates him, binds him, and makes him return to you without you having to do anything at all. 4th trigger. The nonverbal language that binds him. How your gaze, your tone, and your energy seal it effortlessly. Something happens in him long before he acknowledges it, before he says, I like you, before he says, you matter to me, even before he says, I don't know what's wrong with me when it comes to you. It happens in silence, without words, when you look at him without fear, speak to him without anxiety, and are present without giving too much of yourself. And even if he doesn't understand it, his body reacts. His emotional system registers an energy that marks him, as if his unconscious says, this is different. This makes me want to stay. It's not what you said, not what you did. It's what you projected, because you can be sweet to him and he still won't stay. You can tell him you love him and he'll still pull away. You can give him everything and he still won't attach. But when your nonverbal language conveys an emotional experience that elevates him, that makes him feel in the presence of something valuable, a connection forms beyond his will. Carl Jung said the soul speaks through symbols, and the unconscious communicates with the unconscious. And that's exactly what happens when, without speaking, you say everything. A woman shared what she experienced with a man years ago. I never told him how I felt. We never had a deep conversation about love, but every time he saw me, he sought me out with his eyes, touched me gently. And once he said, with you I feel at home and I don't know why. I just know I don't want to leave. She hadn't done anything specific. She was simply present with total authenticity, not vibrating from neediness, not trying to please or impress him. And that's what captivated him. Because the most powerful thing about your presence isn't what you say. It's what your energy says about you when you're no longer pretending. Now, I want to show you what your nonverbal language emits when you're truly connected to yourself, and why it marks him without him knowing. Your gaze doesn't seek approval. It observes without judgment. A woman who doesn't ask for validation with her eyes, who simply sees the man as he is without needing to change him, emits a strength that disarms him. He lowers his defenses, stops performing, relaxes, and in that moment, he starts associating you with something his soul wants to feel again. Authenticity without threat. And that creates emotional attachment without you seeking it. Your tone is soft but firm, like someone who's not competing. When you speak without urgency, without anxiety, without trying to manipulate or control the conversation, he feels it. He doesn't think it. He perceives it. And that sense that you're not at war, not trying to win his love, makes him feel free. And that freedom is where he starts associating you with peace. And where there's peace, there's true emotional attachment. Your energy doesn't revolve around him but embraces him anyway. When you're there, present, open, warm, but not emotionally available by default, he notices, not because you say it, but because he feels it. And that forces him to value your access, to stop assuming you're there for him, to wonder what it is about you that gives him so much without fully giving yourself. And when a man starts asking himself that, he's already emotionally marked. Something in his field is already tied to you, even if he doesn't say it yet. And how do you train this nonverbal language? Not by faking confidence, not by acting cold. It's trained when you free yourself from the urgency to please him, when you no longer speak from emptiness, when you no longer live from the need to be chosen. Then your body communicates it. Your silence becomes magnetic. Your gaze becomes a mirror. Your voice becomes an invitation, not pressure. And he's drawn to you without understanding why. Because you're no longer the woman waiting for him. You're the woman who is there and could just as easily not be. And that binds him. A man can forget your words, ignore your gestures, justify why he pulled away. But what he felt when he looked at you, when you were calm, when your energy didn't pressure him, that he relives without knowing how. And that's why he returns or doesn't let go, or dreams of you, or seeks you in others. Because the bond wasn't sealed with a conversation. It was sealed with a vibration, and that doesn't erase easily. In the next point, I'll show you how to sustain that connection without betraying yourself, how to stay present, magnetic, and real without losing your center out of fear of losing him. Because he attaches even more when you no longer revolve around him. Fifth and final trigger: how to sustain that connection without betraying yourself. He attaches more when you don't lose your center. So far, you've understood how a man starts to attach, not because of what you do, but because of how he feels about himself when he's with you, because of the unique emotional experience he has with you, because of the nonverbal language that envelops him effortlessly. But now comes the most important part: how to sustain that connection without betraying yourself in the process. Many women, when they realize he's more present, more attentive, more emotional, lower their guard, shift their center for the illusion of having won him. I've got him, they think, and without realizing it, they lose him. Why? Because male attachment breaks the moment he senses you're no longer you, but a version more devoted to him than to yourself. I'll say it clearly. He attaches more when you stay you, even when he's with you, even when he loves you, even when he chooses you, and you when you feel he's finally connected, finally emotionally present, finally sees you. Sometimes, without noticing, you start making small sacrifices. You reply faster, put your plans on hold to adapt to his. Subtly shift your energy out of fear of losing what you've just gained. And in that moment, you're no longer the woman who made him attach. You've become the woman acting out of fear, and he senses it. Carl Jung said nothing disconnects a human being more than betraying themselves to be accepted. And this applies directly to love. A woman wrote to me something that stuck with me. I felt him so connected that I stopped doing my own things to have more time for him. I told him I admired him more often. I gave him more than he asked for, and in no time I felt he wasn't as close anymore. I became more his than mine, and I lost him when I thought I had him. This can't happen to you again, because true feminine magnetism doesn't live in total surrender. It lives in constant connection with yourself. So how do you sustain that connection without dissolving? With something modern, feminine narcissism rejects: emotional integrity, the ability to feel deeply without losing yourself, to love intensely without abandoning yourself, to choose him without stopping choosing yourself. And that's not coldness, it's wisdom. Because you're not here to give your entire world away just because a man finally sees you. You're here to remember that you are the center, and it's from that center that he attached. Not from your obsession, not from your anxiety, but from your quiet light, from your authenticity without expectations. Here are the 4 keys to sustaining that connection, without ever betraying yourself again. Your life goes on, even when he arrives. Don't pause your projects, dreams, or passions just because he's more present. The day your life starts revolving around him, he feels it, and his desire begins to fade. He attached to a woman with her own world, not one who abandoned hers for him. Your boundaries stay, even if he loves you now. Just because he's back, more open, calling first, or seeking you more doesn't mean you should open all your doors. Your energy remains selective. Your time remains sacred. Your love isn't on sale. It's in coherence, and that keeps him awake. Your mystery doesn't vanish just because he knows you better. Don't explain everything. Don't make him privy to every thought. Don't give him access to every emotion you feel. Keep something for yourself, not to play games, but out of self-respect. True mystery isn't silence. It's not exposing everything out of fear of losing him. Your center remains yours, even if you love him. Even if you feel he's the one, even if everything flows, your axis is internal. You are the anchor, the root. And if you ever feel you're losing yourself, come back to you before he starts pulling away too. Because here's the most powerful paradox. He attached to you because you weren't his, because you weren't guarding yourself, because you didn't give everything without him earning it, because you showed him that having you was a privilege. And now that he's closer, that privilege shouldn't feel guaranteed. It should feel alive, sustained, present, not through blind giving, but through the woman who loves herself so much, she doesn't disappear for love. And if he feels it, if he senses you're still you, that you don't dissolve in the bond, that you remain solid ground even as he draws closer, then the attachment becomes something deeper, a stable emotional connection, a union that doesn't depend on drama but on the respect you hold for yourself. And that's what makes a man not just attach, but start to commit emotionally without knowing why. Because it's no longer just about what he feels with you, but what he's willing to protect to never lose you again. Conclusion: he doesn't attach because of what you give him. He attaches because of what you awaken in him. When you don't lose yourself to have him. When you stay you, even after he's chosen you. Because true emotional connection doesn't come from your efforts. It comes from your axis, your peace, the quiet certainty you radiate when you know you don't have to prove anything to be valuable. Comment below. He stays because I no longer lose myself. And let that phrase heal all the times you gave too much of yourself, just to avoid being abandoned. Because from today, you won't be the woman who gives too much hoping for attachment. You'll be the woman who knows her power, holds her center, and sparks real connection from the truth of her presence. And if he ever wonders why he can't let you go, replace you, or forget you, it's because he already knows. He attached to the experience he only had with you. And no matter how much he denies it, his soul has already kept it. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to leave a powerful like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell without fail. And if you feel in your heart the desire to support this space further, you can now become a channel member and enjoy exclusive benefits, like priority responses to your comments and psychological questions, participating in decisions about upcoming videos, and receiving closer guidance in your transformation process. But don't leave yet. On the screen, I'm leaving 2 videos I'm sure you'll love. 2 gems of immense value. I'll be waiting for you in whichever one you choose. As always, I'm Christian, your psychologist and philosopher. See you there.